Hello and welcome to Jackson's Job. Today we're going to make some baklava. This is a really delicious recipe and it is not hard to do, it's just time consuming. Here are your ingredients if you want to follow along, but they'll also be included below. This is going to take you 2 days, so keep that in mind. You're going to need some lemon. You can use lemon juice if you want, but I highly recommend you use a fresh lemon. You only want to zest it until you start to see a pale yellow. Don't go until you see white because the white part is bitter. Using a strainer will help you filter out all those seeds. For the best results, I recommend making the syrup the night before. In a heavy saucepan, you're going to need 1.5 cups of sugar, that's 300 grams. To that, you're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of water, that's 180 milliliters. Then we're going to add in a tablespoon of honey, which is 21 grams, and then 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, which is 10 milliliters, and 1 teaspoon of lemon zest, which is 1 gram. You can skip the lemon zest if you want, but the lemon zest will really bring out a nice tart flavor and help balance out all the sweetness that is going into this fabulous dessert. Once you get all these combined, you're going to stir this until you can no longer dissolve any sugar, and then you're going to put it on a medium heat and continue to stir it until all the sugar is dissolved. Now, if at any time you see some sugar crystals forming on the side of the pan, you can wash it down with a little bit of a pastry brush dipped in cold water. When it comes to stirring this, you want to use a whisk or a wooden spatula. Now, you do not want to use a whisk on a nonstick surface. It's better to stick with wooden, but you want to make sure you're using a heat-proof spoon because plastic will melt. Don't ask me how I know that. Once all the sugar is dissolved, you want to bring it up to a boil, cover it for 2 minutes, remove the lid carefully, and then continue to boil it for another 4 minutes or until it reaches 230 degrees Fahrenheit or 110 degrees Celsius. If you want more details, I'll include a video link below and it will help you along the way. Once your syrup is finished, you want to turn off the heat and let it cool completely before you put it into a heat-proof bowl. I recommend using a measuring cup because you're going to pour this over the top of the baklava whenever it is finished baking, and this just makes it much easier. Now it comes out really thin like this, and it will thicken up as it cools down. Don't worry that it looks really thin right now. This is completely normal. And look at that beautiful lemon and honey coloring. It smells delicious in this house right now. Preheat your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius. Next, you want to take a pound of nuts and you want to chop them up finely. You can do this by hand, but I recommend using a blender and doing it on the pulse mode. You can use any type of nuts you like. You can use walnuts, almonds, pistachios. You can use a combination of them all. Now I'm using walnuts because I have kind of an allergic reaction to pistachios. Not everybody does, but there are a few people that do because it's related to the poison ivy family, in case you didn't know. Next, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons brown sugar or 28 grams, and then we're going to add in a pinch of salt. That's 1/8 of a teaspoon or about a gram. And then we're going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. That is 3 grams. And then we are just going to pulse this a few times, about 3 to 6 pulses, and then that should be a nice good texture. If not, give it a shake to bring all the bigger pieces up and give it a couple more pulses. By then it should be ready. It depends on your blender. Don't overdo it because you don't want to release the oils and make this a paste. Or if you do make a paste, go ahead and completely blend it and give yourself some like walnut butter. That's actually really delicious. You want some various pieces. You want it finely chopped, but it's okay if you have a couple bigger size pieces because that'll give you some nice bite. Next, you're going to need a whole pound of phyllo dough. Now you could make your own, but I recommend just buying it in the sheets. That's 454 grams or 1 package. When it comes to the phyllo dough, if you're using the stuff you buy in the store, you usually have to thaw it overnight or on the counter several hours. Make sure to read your packaging before you start baking. I like to thaw it in the refrigerator overnight. That way it forces me to make that syrup the night before. You're going to also need 3/4 of a pound of melted butter. That's 1.5 cups or 3 sticks or 339 grams. You want to brush generously a 9 by 13 or 23 by 33 centimeter pan, preferably metal or ceramic, because you do not want to add cold syrup to hot glass unless you have the really nice borosilicate glass, and not many people make that anymore. It's just not worth the risk of shattering glass. You want to cover your phyllo dough in plastic wrap and also a towel. This will help keep it from drying out because when it dries out it becomes brittle and just tears really easily and it's just impossible to work with. so please don't skip this step. Once you have the bottom of your pan really well buttered and the sides too, we're going to add in our phyllo dough. We are going to place in 1 sheet of phyllo dough. And be careful here because it's really easy to tear. Now if you do tear it, it's okay. I'll show you later how you fix it. You want to brush this with a thin layer of butter. Don't drizzle it on too much because if you put too much butter on, 2 things will happen. You'll have a soggy baklava and then it will just be very greasy. We've all had greasy, soggy baklava, and there's nothing more sad than that. So make sure where you are generously coating it, you're not excessively doing so. If the phyllo dough is too big for the pan like it is here, all you have to do is trim it to size. I like to use a pizza cutter to trim almost everything because I am really bad with knives. If you have not watched enough of these videos, the more you watch it, you'll start seeing that I am not the safest person with knives due to my shoulder injury. You are going to put another layer of phyllo on top of the buttered phyllo, and you're going to do this for 9 layers on the bottom layer. Continue to put a thin layer of butter on top of the phyllo, and then use another layer of phyllo. You want to repeat this 8 more times for a total of 9 layers. A layer of phyllo, a layer of butter, until you get 9 total sheets. Once you get the 9th piece of phyllo down, you want to butter that top as well, and then we're going to sprinkle 1/4 of our nut mixture on top. Typically, a pound of nuts, once they're finely chopped, will end up being roughly 4 cups of nuts. But you can just eyeball it. Just give it a really nice thin layer. If you have some layers that's a little thicker than others, that's okay. This is kind of rustic anyway. We're not machines, and it will still taste absolutely fabulous. Once you get 1/4 of the nuts in a nice thin layer over top of the phyllo, we're going to add another 6 layers of phyllo and butter. So you want to do phyllo, butter, phyllo, butter, phyllo, butter, etc. until you have 6 layers of phyllo. When you're working with phyllo, it seems monotonous, but make sure you uncover and then recover the phyllo each time you lay down a piece. This stuff dries out so fast, and when it starts drying out, it sticks together, it becomes brittle, and it just starts falling apart. See how this one has a tear in it? Just be gentle when you put the butter in that section, and then just try to paste it back together with the butter. Now when you are putting this on top of the nuts, this piece will want to slide around, so you may want to put your fingers down to hold it to help keep it from tearing even more. And just take your time with this layer and the next one, and after that they will start to stick pretty good, and then you can go pretty fast after this. I will tell you, this is pretty tedious. It took me about 45 minutes to layer this all together. You may be faster than I am, but I am pretty slow. Again, once you have that 6th layer down and buttered, put another cup of nuts or 1/4 of the mixture over top of it and sprinkle it evenly. You're going to repeat this 6-layer process until you run out of nuts. Once you have 6 layers down, you're going to put 1/4 of the nuts on top of the layers, and then you're going to repeat this process 2 more times. So you're going to have a total of 3 layers that have 6 sheets of phyllo and butter. When you've put your final 4th layer of nuts on top of your phyllo, you are now ready to put the top layer on. This is all just phyllo, and you're going to do another 9 sheets. You're going to do the exact same process. You're going to butter each sheet of phyllo and then lay down another one. And you do this until you have 9 sheets total. Now occasionally some of the sheets will be covered in like cornstarch where they are just completely coated, and this happens at the factory. If this happens to you, don't use that sheet. Just discard it because it will burn in the oven and it will be an unpleasant taste anyway. So you don't want to ruin your project. And also, as you can see, it is drying out really fast and it's very brittle. So just throw that section away. I know I hate to waste anything, but every once in a while you'll see that happen. And if you do see like some excess cornstarch on one of your sheets of phyllo, use your hand or the pastry brush and brush it off, because that cornstarch will burn in the oven and will leave an unpleasant taste. Once you have the final layer of phyllo in place, use the remaining butter and generously spread it on top and let it seep in. Now we are going to cut this in a diagonal pattern, and you start in the corner and you go to the next corner. Now if you do this right and you make 3 layers, you should have equal pieces. However, I'm not the greatest at this. I'm going to try to show you, but the lighting got really bad here, so I actually ended up making a second pan just so you could see this being cut a second time. But you just go over about an inch, inch and a half, let's say about 2.5 centimeters to about 3.5 centimeters, and then you make another diagonal line and cut straight across. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you watch what I'm doing here and try to repeat it, you'll eventually get the hang of it. Likewise, you could just make these into nice little squares. That's much easier to do, to be honest, and you get equal portions to share. That's kind of what we do at our house, is make them into squares and not these diamond shapes. The diamond shapes are pretty much for your guest, or to like show off your skills, which I'm kind of lacking here. Now if you use a serrated knife, it's actually a lot easier to cut. As you can see here, I'm again going from diagonal to diagonal, and then I'm just moving over about an inch and a half and cutting another line. If you want to make it easier on yourself, you can do the other diagonal before you cut, and that sometimes helps guide you, and sometimes it makes matters worse, and you'll see it actually makes matters worse for me here. I am not good at cutting diagonals. I'm not good at drawing straight lines. I don't know why I even tried this, other than to show you the basic premise. I'm sure you'll do a much better job than I did, but basically you want about 3 cuts on each opposite side of the line. Go slow, because if you don't go slow, the layers will start to shift and you will crack them, and all that hard work will be for nothing. If you want to use your hands to stabilize it, go ahead and do that. And again, I like to do these horizontally instead of this diagonal because it holds them down better, and honestly you get better portions and you can share a lot more. Some of these portions when you cut it diagonally are really tiny and they're just kind of pathetic, and some of the portions end up being gigantic and people always flock to those, and then you get people who are upset because they didn't get the big portion. So I find it easier to cut this into squares instead of these diamond shapes. I will leave it up to you how you want to handle it. Once you get this all cut, you're going to bake this in your oven. You want to bake this 45 minutes to an hour, or until it's golden brown. Now we're going to get that cold syrup out, and we are going to place this onto our hot baklava. We're going to pour it into each one of these crevices as much as we can. This does 2 things. It really helps those nuts soak up this delicious syrup, and it also helps the top from not getting too soggy if you just dump it on. You'll still get to keep that nice crisp layer of phyllo dough on top by pouring it in between the crevices. You don't have to use all the syrup if you don't want to. If you like it a little less sweet, you can use less syrup and then hold some syrup back for your guests to pour on top of their baklava as they see fit, or you can pour it all on and just have a really nice sticky sweet goo. The reason why you like to put the cold syrup on with the hot baklava, it helps keep it from going soggy, and you get to keep those nice crisp layers of phyllo. Next, I like to tint this with some aluminum foil and let it sit for a few hours while that syrup marries with that baklava and really soaks up that flavor. The longer you can leave this, the more delicious it will be. Let's look at one of these pieces and see what you think. This is so wonderful smelling. It smells so good. Even Luke came up to see what's going on. I had to shoo him away before he got cat hair everywhere. Look at how many wonderful layers of nuts and phyllo are in here. Yes, it seemed like it was a lot of work, but doesn't this presentation make it worth it? I mean, come on, this is beautiful. And it tastes just as good as it looks, if not better. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy baking.